Hello everyone, we are back with more Ave Mujica. This is episode 3? I believe it's 3, right? Yeah, 3. Great. Wonderful. I'm excited to jump into this. I'm also nervous. I think I said in the first episode that I had like nerves going into the show for a variety of reasons, and you can go check out those reasons in the first video. But those nerves haven't gone away. This show is the most nerve-wracking to react to for me, and I think like a good portion of the reason is it's such intricate, incredible character work that it is actually very easy to miss a lot of stuff. And secondly, because it's a very passionate fan base, you know, I feel like I'm pretty decent at analyzing character work, but I'm also sometimes bad at interpreting context clues while doing a video on the episode at the same time. Like, I'm watching this episode once, sometimes things fly past me, and so I get nervous because I feel like with this fan base, if I miss something, it's very, very obvious, and you guys will pick up on that right away. So just a couple clarifications from last time, because I am, you know, taking in information as best I can. Stuff like that Umiri's name is Umiri. I call her Umiko because that is what Nyamu calls her, I believe. It doesn't matter too much as long as you guys know who I'm talking about. It's fine, you know, like unless I'm very blatantly getting someone's name wrong. If I'm using the nickname of another character that another character is using, sorry, I'm fixing something on my microphone. If I'm using the nickname that another character is using, that's fine, because you guys will know, like, there's no other character in the show called Umiko, right? So I know that that's all good. But the other main thing, and this was like a lot of people, and this is a good thing to clarify, honestly, because I did straight up miss this. And that's when Mutsumi's in the interview last episode, and she says, you know, quietly, something along the lines of like, it'll all be over soon, or something along those lines, right? A lot of you said that was actually something I believe Saki said to her earlier, and instead of my interpretation of it was probably the same interpretation that the audience in universe would have had to it, which is she's saying like it doesn't matter, like she's muttering that because it's the band is all gonna fall apart soon, right? And that's the way that the people in universe would have said it. But actually, what she was meaning it as is she was repeating what had been told to her as a way of reassuring herself, like all of this part of it, like this stressful part of it, the stuff that's hard to get over, that part of it will be over soon. And she's just muttering that to herself to reassure herself, like, don't worry, I can get through this bit of it, this difficult bit, I can get over this mountain, and then we'll be back to the parts that are a bit smoother. And she was muttering that to herself, but obviously in the interview, that's all the interviewers hear, and so the TV program audience are going to take that and run with it. So yeah, I you know, missed one line earlier, and because of that I made a bit of a misinterpretation, but I don't feel too ashamed of that either way, because I still think you can get some interesting character analysis out of that, and I don't have much to back it up now, but I still feel like Mutsumi feels that way on a very small level, but it wasn't as blatant as I was making it out to be. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff in this show. Like, it's 20 minutes and it's packed with character detail and incredible stuff. So just be patient with me as best you can. I really, really appreciate all of your support, and I love that you guys are so passionate about this, because I'm a big BanG fan. I really, really love BanG, and for a long time, you know, I've really wanted to be able to share that love of BanG with other people, but also at the same time, you know, I'm quite behind on a lot of BanG lore and stuff. So so now I feel almost out of my element, but we'll get through it. We'll do it. It'll be fine. So yeah, make sure to strap in, get ready for another episode, and if you like these videos, please, please, please support the video as best you can. I want to be able to keep doing these videos and keep doing this channel as much as I can. So like the video, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, and if you really appreciate these videos, if you really want to support me, then my Patreon account has the full-length reactions, and it's got so much extra content for the rest of my channel and my One Piece channel, so you can go check out all of that as well. But if you really appreciate what I'm doing, you can go over there and support me. Of course, you have to have your own footage and sync it up with your own footage. That's how copyright works, but but it is absolutely worth it, and I hope that you can do that and help me out. But otherwise, let's jump into this episode. This is BanG Dream Ave Mujica, the Dyer's Cast, episode 3. Oh my gosh, I forgot Mutsumi almost died on stage. I mean, you just think it was part of the performance. Improv, improv. Her strings have been cut. Okay, there's some improv. Damn. Wow. Really good improv. But your friend might be dead. It would be pretty fucked up to improvise around your friend's dead body on the stage, you know? What's she supposed to do? Oh yeah, I get to see the OP again. This is such a great OP. I can't analyze the titles because I don't understand what they are. I mean, they're probably Latin, but I don't know what they mean. It did happen to line up nicely with the story. Damn, they have that high opinion of her. Yeah, Saki, your improvisation is incredible. What's happening here? Is there a doll talking to her? This is something. This is in her head. Cute. Oh, and she's young. Man, so many expectations on her. This like comedy acts. This is so creative. This is what she fell in love with. Yeah, something that separates her from her family. She doesn't stand out. Man, if this episode ends with her doing something awesome, like some sick guitar solo. Oh. And that's still haunting her. Oh. Oh. Damn, she's putting that all on herself. I mean, so she's getting more attention now for something she didn't even try to do. Yes! I think Uika really likes donuts. It's the second time we've seen her with donuts. Leia! Holy shit! That's cool. I didn't know she knew Leia. I like being able to hear this from the outside, like what it sounds like not in her headphones. Your internet's slow right now. I mean... People want Mutsumi specifically. Oh my god, this is too relatable. Come on, these two need to bond. Yeah, she's immediately turning it into content. I want to get along with you. So I'll film a video of us. And she's here for Saki. She's a hard worker.
そのためにやってるんだ。このままじゃ二人で破滅だよ。なんで嫌なこと。
I don't think she's holding her back, but we can talk about it later.
ならここでよかった。ちゃんと聞こえたでしょ。
喧嘩でしたら練習の後。
Everyone's
あ、海子。
here and listening to the conversation.
あれとは。
さきこちゃん嫌い。
Oh my
だ
god.
って私は壊れてほしくないだけ。バンド、このままじゃむつみちゃんが先に壊れちゃう。
Yeah.
つらい。
メール見てないんですか？演出の件で先方から要望がありまして、モーティスにツアー初日のパフォーマンスを再現。
Oh, interesting.
先日はミストのことでしたが、再現できますか？
Just have a panic attack again.
出るんだよ。ムジカにとってもムーコにとってもチャンスじゃない？
But it
そんなこと望んでいません。
might be tough
そ
for
れはムーコに聞かなきゃ。ねえ。
she might not be able to turn you down directly.
むつみ。ほら、やりたくないなんて言ってない。
It's not fair, Nyamu.
何が言いたいんですの？ゲストが望んでること。
Okay, they have interesting differing points of view on, you know. I'll talk about it in discussion.
バンドどころかムジカやめても構わないってことじゃないの？
See, yeah, she's interpreting it like I interpreted it last episode.
ウイコ忙しすぎて練習ほとんど来てないよね。
I'm glad Uik is speaking up a bit
無責
though.
任じゃない？
さんこそもっと練習すべきですわ。
たまりは特に練習しないといけないのに、今まで何をやってたんですか？
Oh no, she's having flashbacks.
ごめん、もうやめよう。落ち着いて話そうよ。
Oh yeah, Mutsumi's falling apart. Oh, she's doing the Soyo roll.
これ以上話しても無駄ですわ。まだ終わってないんだけど。
Man, it's real like PTSD for her.
先に帰ってくださる。
They're gonna have some time alone. Oh, she looks angry.
パフォーマンスよりもギターを弾きたいのでしょ？それなのに私が喋ると
Oh.
昔はもっと喋ってた。笑っていたのに全部私に言わせて。
Yeah.
私にはもうこの世界しかないのに。
And that's what Mutsumi's trying to protect as well in not talking. Man, the raindrops on her socks is a really cool effect.
生放送ですもん。私だけはむつみちゃんの味方。
She's gonna kick this doll.
モーティス。
Oh, Jesus! Oh my god!
ゆりかごを編むよ。ビロードで仕立てた棺みたいな小物。
She's become Mortis completely.
眠りにすら気づかないほど。
どういうことです？
わからない。
She's just been enveloped by Mortis, the spirit.
おやすみなさい。良い夢を。
Wow, she's so different.
せめて安らかでありますように。
Oh, okay. Alright. Okay. Great episode again. And man, okay. So, I mean, if we end last episode with like Mutsumi completely falling apart, we end this episode with her almost like snapping back into what's needed of her. Now, it's the big question is like whether or not this is gonna be healthy for her, because I don't know. It's way too early to tell. Because basically it feels like what she's just done is donned a mask that is so like that hides herself so deep within that that essentially it feels like maybe now she'll always be playing a character, which is a difficult thing. I think I'm going to speak a decent amount in this discussion from my own experience of performing, because if you don't know, I used to do a lot of acting stuff, right? I used to do acting classes all throughout all throughout school, all throughout a lot of primary school, all of high school, and then after high school for many years as well. And I used to be represented by an agent, and so I would do some little like short films here or there. Nothing huge, but I would, often be doing some sort of acting, right? Some sort of performing. I was like the lead in all of my school musicals, for example. I did musicals after and theater performances after high school. And I've been trained by a lot of professionals. I'm not amazing necessarily, but I have experience, is what I'm getting at. So when I'm speaking about performing, I'm speaking from a place of some sort of experience. Just in the way that when I'm speaking about character writing and stuff, I'm speaking from the perspective of someone who went to university to study writing, and I have a degree in writing. So there's some sort of experience in a lot of the stuff that I'm talking about here. But essentially, if she is putting on a mask throughout her life, it can, it could go either way. Because in some ways, putting on a mask and this is just my interpretation of what's happening here. That might not even be what's happening. But the way I perceive it is like she was looking at that doll of Mortis or whatever, and then it absorbed into her, which it was like a venom symbiote going into her. So I essentially see that as the persona was taking over who she was. So it was basically getting rid of Mutsumi or squashing Mutsumi down and replacing it with Mortis. So, and I'm gonna just, because I'm probably going to forget the name Mortis quite a lot, so I'm just going to write it down just so that hopefully I don't forget it. But there's like potential issues there, and also potentially not. I think it's going to be more of an issue just because of the themes of this show. Like the idea that she could just fix her problems by performing, going deep into performance, seems like it's probably unhealthy. She's probably just trying to suppress a lot of these feelings that she's having, and because of that, she's not really going to be like Mutsumi anymore, and she's probably going to be more likely to do things that she doesn't want to do, and she's not being herself. She's trying to be a version of this character that other people will react to properly. But I'm not going to say performing and, putting on some sort of character in your everyday life is necessarily unhealthy or bad. I am an introvert at heart, and a lot of people are surprised when I call myself an introvert, especially people who know me in real life and stuff, and they talk to me whenever I'm out with them. I'll call myself an introvert, and they're like, "You're not an introvert." And I go, "Yes, I am. I'm an introvert with performance training." And so essentially I have all those anxieties and those fears and those feelings. I struggle to, when people invite me to do something, I struggle to go and do it. When I'm around other people, I feel my energy draining. I feel like all of these anxieties bubbling up in me constantly. I struggle sometimes to have a regular conversation with people. I've got a lot of the things that you would expect from an introvert. And being an introvert is really what happens in here and not what happens out here. But I act extroverted around a lot of people. And it's because from a pretty early age, when I was doing acting classes, a big part of what I was doing is practicing my acting throughout my everyday life by pretending to be way more confident than I was. Pretending to be the sort of person that I thought other people wanted me to be. And the problem with it is for a while, you're faking it, and it really sucks, and it feels horrible, and it takes a lot more energy out of you. It drains you much, much quicker to do that. And it was really, really difficult. After a while, though, it starts to get to the point where I settle into that so much, where it feels so much more comfortable for me, and it becomes part of who I am. And so I can speak more confidently, and when I speak more confidently with people, and they respond to it well, then I feel more confident. And when I feel more confident, then that character isn't as fake as it was. And then I can slowly merge it into my own personality. But that was, what I'm talking about is a process that happened over many years. And it was during my formative years as well. It was when I was a kid. which it's also Mutsumi's formative years, so that could be the case there. But I'm saying that to say that not all of the time you being, you know, not 100% what you consider yourself, I don't think it's as simple as that's always bad. We always give the advice of you should be yourself, and that is true, but it's way more complex than just be completely yourself, because sometimes you don't actually fully know yourself. A lot of people who struggle with self-esteem issues, including myself, do not know what is good about them. They cannot see it. They have absolutely no idea. So when they think of themselves, they think of, like, if Mutsumi was to think of herself, she would think, I'm quiet, I am terrified, I can't do anything right, I always mess things up when I open my mouth. That's the person that she thinks she would be, right? And maybe I'm okay at guitar. I feel like she knows that she's at least somewhat decent at guitar, right? So she would think her only positive quality is that she's good at guitar. The other stuff is like a detriment, and that's who she is. If she was to write down a list of ways to describe herself, that would be it. So when people say, oh, you should be yourself, that's the person she thinks she needs to be. But someone who knows her better, someone like Saki, said in this episode, like, you used to speak more, you used to talk to me more, you know? And so she sees Mutsumi as this person who she can speak to comfortably. Maybe she sees it as like, oh, Mutsumi loves, you know, dolls or something, you know? Mutsumi loves toys. Mutsumi has a very childlike wonder to her. Mutsumi loves this kind of food. She will see the actual positive traits and the quirks and the things about her that make her special. So if you tell Mutsumi to be yourself, she's not going to be herself, funnily enough, because she doesn't know what herself is. And in playing a character that's like a more confident version, she might be able to bring out those parts of herself that is actually more authentic to whatever's inside of her. But I don't know if that's what's going to happen here. I think the more likely situation here is she is just, I mean, this series seems to be all about masks, and she's put on the biggest mask of all right now. So it's unsettling because you see that at the end, and it should be a really amazing moment of like, look at her, she's like doing everything that everyone wanted her to do now, but it actually for us feels unnerving because we're worried about what this means for her. So I'm really curious to see how this Mutsumi thing goes. Now, just while I'm on the topic of performances, I wanted to do one more thing. I wanted to say something about improv. That's right. Improvising on stage like Saki did, very, very difficult, obviously. And I think a lot of people would just freeze up and not know what to do. A big thing about, you know, when you're performing, when you're acting on stage, is you have to try to find a way to keep it going. If someone forgets their line, and I've done enough performances where people have messed up, sometimes I've been the one to cover for people, sometimes I haven't. I used to be in my high school musicals. I remember I had, for certain of the musicals, I had basically the entire script memorized. Not just my lines, but also a lot of other people's lines. At least in the scenes that I was in, I had like the whole scene memorized. So if someone didn't know their line in rehearsal, I would just tell them their line instead of them having to go and look at the script, right? But I'm not perfect. I've made mistakes on stage as well. One of my biggest reoccurring nightmares is being on stage and not knowing my lines. I still, to this day, I don't even perform much anymore other than for these videos, but I still have nightmares to this day, probably once every month or two, where I go on stage, someone's got me in a play or something, and I either never got the script and I don't know what I'm doing, or I completely forget my lines when I get there. And that is terrifying. It's a really scary experience. I had when I was in acting classes at some point, at the end of each term, we would have a performance of some sort. And then at the end of the year, it was like a big performance. It was like actual plays in front of a big audience, and it was an audience made up of like our parents and family friends and all of that. And there was normally a bunch of little scenes or skits or whatever, or we would do one big play. In one of them, I was playing a character who, I can't remember what the scene was, but I was in a scene with this girl, and I was playing, like, she was playing a nurse or something, and I was playing just a person who was coming to the hospital for his wife or something. And I know I was like 13 years old and I had a wife. But it was a scene that was very simple overall, but I wasn't fully prepared for it, and I just, towards the end of the scene, there was one more line that I had, and I could not remember it. And I think I remember the line was, so the best thing for me to do right now would be to, and then I would trail off. That's the line, right? And I forgot it. I just completely forgot it, right? And this girl that I was acting with, her name was Natasha, and I don't know her anymore, other than maybe I have her on some social media. But I remember at a young age, I had a crush on her. I didn't really know much about her, but I had a small crush on her. And I froze up. I didn't know what to do. I mean, maybe this is why I got a crush on her. I can't remember if I had one beforehand or if this made me have a crush on her. But she looked at me, saw the panic in my eyes, and very naturally said, I think the best thing for you to do would be to leave right now. Like, she took my line and she said it in her character voice and added her own line into it and made it sound like there was no mistake. And I went, okay. And I left the stage like my character was supposed to after that, right? And she just like covered for me instantly as soon as she saw that I was panicking. And I remember that so fondly, because she saved me from something really, really embarrassing. And I asked people afterwards if they noticed anything, and no one noticed that there was a line missing or anything. She just did it perfectly. So being able to improvise like that on stage is really, really such a valuable skill, and also it can save people. Like, it can save people not just on stage that one time, but a lifetime of memories of it, because I constantly think back to it. I also think back to once when I had an audition for a movie. The movie was called Girl Asleep. It was an actual movie that was released, and you can look it up. I think it was an Australian movie, right? I'm Australian. And I was auditioning for the lead, and this was a callback. So I actually came back. If you don't know what a callback is, you do a round of auditions with a whole lot of people, and then if you do well enough, they will call certain people back. So a callback means you're in the running of like the best of the actors, right? So it was a really important audition, and I went in there and I was auditioning with another person who was like, she was also auditioning for the female lead, and there were producers and maybe the director, I don't know, but there were like people there who were important to the movie. And I went in there. I had practiced for weeks, but I did not remember a thing. Well, I did. I remembered like the first few lines, and then I froze. I completely froze. It is the worst audition that I've ever done in my life. I screwed over the girl that I was auditioning with. She didn't end up getting the part. I don't know if she was good or not. I have no idea. I was focused on my own shit, but I feel so bad for her because I messed up my lines so much that she couldn't really show what she could do. I was terrified. It was the most embarrassing moment of my life, I think. And it's still stuck with me to this day. I mean, like, the movie wasn't incredibly popular or anything, but if I ever like think about it, it is a nightmare situation. So yeah, Saki being able to improvise in a situation like that is incredible, and that's a good person to have on stage with you. And also props to the tech team who also like had to roll with it. They didn't know what was happening either, and they just rolled with it. So very good. So there's a lot. I have so many notes that I want to talk about, but I don't want to waste too much time. Like, I want to get to the important bits. So I think another big thing is in this episode, they were talking about, Nyamu talks about what the audience wants, and my interpretation of what Saki's talking about is like what we as artists should do. And that's a huge debate in art, is like, should you be providing what the audience wants of you, or should you be making something unique that only you can make, that you want to make, or whatever, right? And I'm of two minds on it. I don't think either either is a problem. Some people will think that artistic integrity is being able to do what you want and not pandering or not selling out. But I've always disliked when people claim that others sold out, because I don't think that's fair. First of all, within this world, within a capitalist society, and within the way that the world works, like we need money. I want to be able to keep doing this channel forever, but it's very possible that I cannot, because it would need to continue to be very successful and grow more and more so that it can support me, for me to be able to keep doing it, right? But also, I think there's something to being able to provide art that people actually want. Ideally, you're also making something that people don't know they want, but like there has to be people who, if I say, you know, I want a burger, I want to be able to go to a restaurant and get a burger, right? But if everyone is like, oh, we're going to do what we want to do, and so we're making sushi, we're making chicken, fried chicken, we're making rice and curry and all of that, right? And then I'm looking around and going, well, can someone get me a burger? I want a burger. There needs to be a McDonald's around, you know? Like, that's why. So McDonald's exists for the people who are just like, I want a burger right now, and I don't want any other fuss, right? And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's very easy to demonize, especially a major corporation like McDonald's. I'm not saying they're amazing, but I'm saying it's very easy to demonize artists for providing something that the greater audience wants. But it is, I think, also a big part of art. And if you can give the audience something that they want and also something else, that's true art to me. Like, if people wanted the sequel to a book that you wrote, and it's a very special book, a really intricate book, if you write the sequel, but you make it the way that you want to make it, but it's still, you know, incredible and great, that to me can be like the ideal thing to do. My example of it, and I'm not going to spoil it, is The Last of Us Part 2. A lot of people had adverse reactions to the game when it first came out. For me, both The Last of Us games 1 and 2 are absolute masterpieces. They're some of my favorite media. They are literally my favorite pieces of media to ever exist. And The Last of Us Part 2 is what the fans want, in that it is a sequel to this, you know, to this beloved game. But it is also not what the fans want, in that it took some pretty brave strokes with the story, right? That completely changed up the world. But I adored it, because it was like what I wanted was more of the Last of Us world and characters and that sort of writing and that style of gameplay. And I got that while also having something that I had never seen before in that media or even other media ever. So it was an entirely unique experience. And to me, that is art perfectly, you know? But in this episode, we have this struggle between Nyamu, who wants to do things that the audience wants, because that is how to grow. That's how you do things, how you get better, and how you get bigger. Well, yeah, I guess that's it. Nyamu wants to do things that will make them bigger, and I think Sakiko wants to do things that will make them better. And what you need is kind of a mix of that. I try to do that on this channel, right? I will do, like, opening and ending reactions on this channel. And I enjoy doing those. I think they're a lot of fun. But I don't do them for me. I don't do them for my fans either, like the people who are on my channel for me. I don't do it for them. I do it for the people who don't know about my channel, because that's the thing people are more likely to click on if they don't know about you. But I also do some series. Sometimes there are series that I make that don't get many views at all. They get a very small amount of views. But there are a few people who really, really like those videos. And I like making them. So I do them for those people. I remember when Morphonication came out, Bang Dream Morphonication, right? I didn't think there was going to be any interest in a Bang Dream series on... Remember, this was before It's My Go came out. I didn't think there was going to be any interest in a Bang Dream series on my channel, but I love Bang Dream and I wanted to make it. So I took the Sakiko approach there and I made it for me. And now Bang Dream and It's My Go and stuff have sort of blown up a bit more in the reaction sphere, that It's My Go and Ave Mujica, me doing reactions to these series is actually kind of giving people what they want. So it's changed kind of to the Nyamu approach. And so, you know, maybe Sakiko would be like, if she was running my channel, maybe she'd be like, no, we're not doing Ave Mujica reactions. We've done enough of the Bang Dream universe. We're going to like start branching out into new genres. We're going to try to like get an audience in this or that, or I'm going to be like trying to make different videos that take more effort to make. Or instead of doing reaction videos to it, we're going to do like, we're going to remake the entire episodes with our own spin on it or something like that. You know, she might try to go above and beyond. But the truth is, you guys want to come here for the reactions. You want to watch reactions to the episode. If I, instead of posting a reaction video to Ave Mujica, I posted an in-depth frame-by-frame review of the episode that was like 4 hours long, and I went through every aspect of the episode. Sure, some of you might like that, but a lot of you are here for the reaction part, and you wouldn't get that because I'm making something that I think is better and takes more effort. So, if you put it in those things, who do you think is right in that scenario? No one, really. It's kind of just what, as a band, you want to do. And I don't know what they would want to do as a band, because there's no cohesion there between their members. They're really struggling to find an identity and stick with it, because their discussions are either non-existent or toxic, and there's nothing in between, you know? They are either arguing about something or they're not talking about it. And it's really, really difficult for them to get onto the same page. I wonder how this series is going to end, how the season of Ave Mujica is going to end. Are they going to be on the same page at the end? I would be impressed if they get there, but I also expect that. I think that that's what the writers are going to be going for, is trying to eventually get them to a point where they're all on the same page. I just don't know how they get there yet. But Mutsumi could be a spark to start setting that off because of all of this. I think Mutsumi's struggling right now because she is in a position where she used to speak up, as Saki said. You used to talk more. And yet, when she would speak, what she's seeing is, I used to speak and Crychick fell apart before. Correlation, causation. That's what she's thinking. Obviously, we know correlation does not equal causation. It's not because she spoke that the band fell apart, but in her mind, I think it's sometimes difficult for people like her who think so much about what they should be doing and who beat themselves up so much. They struggle sometimes to understand that sometimes there's nothing you could have done. Mutsumi was in a position where she was in the band and it was in a shit position, and like Saki's life is what screwed it. Not Saki herself, but her life is what screwed it, and then Saki's decision like drove it further into the ground. Mutsumi didn't do shit. She was fine. As far as I know, at least, that Mutsumi wasn't to blame at all. But sometimes it's difficult when something so horrible happens in your life and something so difficult, you try to find justifications in what you could have done differently. And so she's drawing a line between, well, I was speaking up, I was talking, and things screwed up. And then later in the interview, she says one thing in the interview that it's all going to end soon or whatever. And Saki's like, what the hell are you doing? Don't say that. Don't speak like that. And so it's like every time she opens her mouth, she feels like she's messing up. But then that is pissing Saki off that she's not speaking now. So in Mutsumi's mind, I think, like, I can't win. I either speak and everyone's mad at me for speaking, or I don't speak and everything's falling apart because I'm not speaking. She also has the problem where she cares about Saki so much, but is also, I don't think she's emotionally intelligent enough to understand what Saki needs. She understands Saki in her heart, as in she knows when Saki is hurting and she knows when something's wrong, but she doesn't know how to fix it. And she doesn't know what Saki needs. So when she sees Saki breaking apart, she's taking on so much of that weight herself, and she doesn't have the emotional strength to hold all of that weight. And people do that a lot as well when they're the sort of person that tends to spiral. I know people like this very well, who they have severe empathy and also struggle a lot with depression and struggle a lot with their own problems in their life. And then other people are upset and they're taking on their problems as well. I'm kind of like this as well. If someone else is really, really upset that I know really closely, it can really, really get to me. I've tried more and more in recent years to actually, and it feels horrible, but to actually kind of shut out those feelings of like, someone close to me is really upset about something. If there's something I can do about it, if there's some way I can help them, I will do it. But if there's not, I have to actually tell myself, I can't let it make me sad. Because like, if I do that, I'm hurting my own mentality and emotional state so much for no gain. And then also, if they need me at all, I will just be down and I won't be ready emotionally to handle them. So I can't let myself spiral because of other people being in a bad state. Mutsumi's the type of person to let herself spiral from that. So it's really difficult for her, and I really, really feel for her watching these episodes. She's got a lot of guilt, and she doesn't know what to do. But Nyamu also said in this episode that Saki was holding Mutsumi back. And I'm trying to figure out if I agree with that. In a way, maybe Mutsumi could like achieve more, and Saki, you know, Saki maybe is... Well, I think the problem is Mutsumi is keeping herself tied to Saki. That's the issue. It's not that Saki is keeping herself tied to Mutsumi and dragging her in by a leash, but it's the other way around. Mutsumi is trying to stay attached to Saki at all times. So Mutsumi is actually holding herself back in relation to Saki. But without Saki, I don't think Mutsumi has sort of the confidence to do much right now. Saki, I think we have to give her credit. She's also Mutsumi's support system. It's just that right now, she can't be that because she's dealing with so much shit. But if Saki can find her way to sort out what she's dealing with, she might be able to help Mutsumi again, and then they can both be in a better place. But there's so much shit to wade through, I don't know if they can do that easily. But yeah, man. I think that's it. There's other stuff that I could say, I think. I mean, like, you know, I have a decent amount of notes here. And I mean, compare that to like Gurren Lagann, there's like 4 or 5 notes, and this one there's like 10, and all of them are like really like big points that I could talk about for 30 to 40 minutes each, I think. But I like to at least try to keep these somewhat concise so that you people who do actually watch the video all the way through, and I really appreciate if you have been watching this whole discussion, I really appreciate you taking in what I'm saying. And if you agreed with anything and you find like you find out anything insightful or interesting, please make sure to let me know in the comments. I really, really like when people tell me the things that I said that they sort of learned from, or that they agree with heavily, because you know, a lot of people correct me on things that I'm saying, which I understand, and I'm not blaming you for correcting me on stuff, and I can take it. I will try to adjust what I'm saying and what I'm thinking based on corrections people make of me. I understand that. But at the same time, I also, like, my favorite comments are the ones that, like, that actually properly, and this is part ego, but that actually properly tell me the bits that I'm doing right, the things that they really appreciated or that they really resonated with. So if there's anything that did resonate with you, make sure to let me know. Or if you have your own experiences that relate to these characters, I'd love to read them. So make sure to do that in the comments below. But thank you so much for joining me for this wonderful video. Make sure to support the video, liking, commenting, and subscribing, and go to my Patreon account for the full-length reactions, early access, and exclusive videos for both this channel and my Jent Watches One Piece channel. If you like One Piece, go to my Jent Watches One Piece channel, check it out, please, I would love to see you there. But thanks for watching, I'll see you next time, goodbye.